Morning, everybody. It's the morning after. I had to go on here today to just share some thoughts. I'm between some media hits. I'm doing some live media hits downtown today. And so I stopped by my office space for a minute and I just wanted to share a little bit with you guys. My heart hurts too, Marion. I want to talk about what happened last night, but I also want to talk about what needs to happen now. Okay. Here's a couple of things that we need to reconcile. You have friends and neighbors, friends and neighbors and coworkers who say one thing in your face and do another thing in the privacy of the voting booth. Absolutely. I'm going to get to that. What happens now? I think it's important that we recognize that fact. She absolutely did fight a damn good fight. There are only a couple of things that I would change, and they're not her fault. I believe that she was advised to not respond to certain things. I believe that she was advised to not critique President Biden and and to sort of really attach herself to him very deeply, even though he has a very low approval rating, actually lower approval rating at this moment than Trump has when people think about his presidency retrospectively. But that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, that might have helped. Shapiro might have helped, absolutely. But even if they carried Pennsylvania, which definitely would have helped, I'm not sure once all the votes have counted. I'm just getting from a television hit, so I don't know if any other states have been called. But she would have had to get all of the blue wall states, given her performance everywhere else. And so even if she carried Michigan, if she still loses Wisconsin, we don't know where she's going to end up with Michigan yet. I don't think they've called that yet. I mean, there are a couple of them that are out there that she would need. She would need to run a straight shot of the blue wall states. But here's what I want you to understand. This was bigger than the blue wall. This is the part that disturbed me. This is when I knew it was not going to be a good night for her last night, because I wasn't just looking at the blue wall states. They probably were. I was looking at what was happening at the county by county level longitudinally. So let me explain to you what that means. I was looking at and comparing her performance to Biden's performance and last time, and his performance to his performance last time. And in each and every state, county by county, Trump was overperforming where he was last time. Even in liberal states that he carried, that she carried, the margin of victory was significantly reduced. So I want you to understand that this is not just an issue of he won Georgia and North Carolina and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. This is about what even happened in states that he shouldn't have even been close in. Virginia should have never been that close. New Jersey should have never been that close. Even the margin that he won, I mean, I'm proud Maryland resident and proudly we won by double digits here, but it's still about 10 points less than he lost by last time. Are y'all hearing me? So what happened I don't know if any other political scientists are saying this. I'm hoping that this is not a realigning election. Because the wave of this was very, very serious. And what's been interesting is to look at how people's vote were split in those states where you had abortion on the ballot as ballot initiatives. It didn't meet the threshold in Florida, even though the majority of people in Florida voted for it to pass in Florida, they needed to hit at least 60%. They got to like 57%. So it did not pass, even though it got the majority of the vote. But in other states where it did pass, you had lots of people who voted for the expansion of voting rights and then turned right around and also voted for Donald Trump, the person who took them away in the first damn place. Now, there's something that I'm going to try to share if you guys are watching me on, I can't do this on Instagram, unfortunately, you guys, but hopefully the connection will reconnect. There we go. But I'm going to try to show you guys this, who are with me on LinkedIn, on oh shoot, I don't know if I can find how to do this. Oh well, I don't think it's going to let me do this because I am not the brand private chat. Don't see it here. Let's try and present. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. Okay. I want to share something with you guys if I can find it really quickly. No, it's not a tab, it's a window. Okay. It's not going to work. I thought this would work, you guys, but it's not going to let it work. So let me just talk you through it, even though I'm not going to be able to show it on the screen. My folks who are watching me in all those different places, let me walk you through who voted for this. These are the breakdown of the votes by race and sex, according to exit polls on CNN, okay? In terms of Trump voters, Trump carried 59% of white men, and Kamala carried 39% of white men. Trump carried, drumroll please, 52% of white women, and Kamala carried 47% of white women. Now, some of you might be surprised to hear that, given all that was said about Dobbs and all that was done around, and the fact, once again, that a woman's running for president. But let's remind ourselves that white women didn't even vote for the white woman that was running for president. Let's also remind ourselves that white people in this nation have not voted for the Democratic Party in a presidential election since the Democratic Party passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The expansion of civil rights to Black people in this nation caused white people to exodus the Democratic Party in mass. I'm not obviously saying that there are no white people in the Democratic Party, but I'm saying that they have not won the white vote. The Democratic Party has not won the white vote in presidential elections since the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So just in case you hear people spewing nonsense about, oh, well, the Democrats were the party that was pro-slavery and Democrats were the party that was pro-Jim Crow. Yes, that's when there was a one-party system in the South. If they stop their history telling there, please know that they don't know what they're talking about. Because it was also the Democratic Party that passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And since the 1964 Civil Rights Act, you had the Dixiecrats turn to Republicans. And since that time, you have not had one presidential election where the majority of white people have voted for the Democratic candidate. Okay, so let's just put those facts out there. Closest person to come to it was Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, who each got about 44% of the white vote. Next, let's keep going. Black men, 78% voted for Kamala, 20% voted for Trump. And by the way, if all of the numbers I'm going to give you are not going to totally add up to 100, because there are some people who voted third party, write in, that sort of thing. Okay. Black women, 92% voted for Kamala Harris. Only 7% voted for Trump. We understood the assignment. Latino men, this was very interesting to me, you guys. 44% voted for Kamala Harris. 54% voted for Donald Trump. Yes, he carried the majority of the Latino male vote. Latino males voted with. In fact, they voted for Donald Trump in higher proportions than white women. So the winning coalition for Trump actually was, by and large, white men, white women, and Latino men. Then the next highest proportion is for him was Latino women, Latinas. CNN doesn't know what they're talking about. If CNN is saying that if CNN is saying that black men allowed Trump to win in swing states, point them to their own damn data. Point them to their own damn data. This data is data that I'm pulling from CNN. That is a patent lie. Take a look at the brown vote. Okay. Latino women, 37% for Trump, 61% for Kamala. And all other races combined, these would be Asians, these would be Native Americans. They shouldn't combine them like this, but they do. 45% Trump, 50% Kamala Harris. The bigger picture that I'm not pointing to here, though, besides who voted for whom, is the fact that the number of people voting was down. So in spite of, all of the enthusiasm and excitement that we saw on the Harris side of the equation, the excitement and enthusiasm was down. And as a result, the number of people voting for her just was not enough to overcome these shifts that we saw to Trump. I could probably do a whole different talk about this. I probably will. And I'm talking about this a lot on the media hits that I'm doing in terms of what the Democrats should have focused on, but they didn't. I'll just say that I believe they should have focused more on their base. They were so concerned with trying to do this grand coalition that I don't believe, focused enough on persuasion in the base. And when I say persuasion, it's getting them to come out and understanding the implications of this. Now, all I'm going to say is this: the implications of this are huge. The implications of this are huge. He now has a Supreme Court who has told him that he can do any fucking thing he wants. This idea about dictatorships is not theoretical. He has a Supreme Court who's basically told him he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Do you think he has a modicum of self-control? Do you think he's someone who's reasonable, who's measured, who's thoughtful? I just wish I could just wring the neck of people who set their asses at home yesterday Because here's the thing, they're going to be the first ones complaining when ish pops off. Let me just tell you some of the things that he will likely do, especially since it looks like that he's not only going to have the Senate, he we don't know about the House yet. We're going to have to see how things come in with California, but it's a chance that the Republicans can retain the House. Our only saving grace here is if, by the grace of God, the Democrats are able to flip the House and Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House and he can stop some of their program, okay? But if they get full control of everything, which they very well, honestly, I think they will, just looking at the trends of everything last night, I tell you, even in states that the Democrats won. So if that trend holds in California, which they will win, a larger proportion of people will vote Republican, which means that they will probably retain the House. If that happens, he will have the House, he will have the Senate, he will have the Supreme Court, he will have the ability to continue to pack the Supreme Court, not to mention all of the federal courts that will each have multi-generational impacts, because we're talking about lifetime appointments here. And Republicans, when they get this power, they do not play. They ram people through like clockwork, and they pick young people who will be there for decades. They will probably get Uncle Tom, Clarence Thomas, to step down so they can replace him with somebody younger. I want y'all to understand what's at stake. I want you to also think about when the Dobbs decision was rendered. Clarence Thomas wrote a very interesting affirming decision where he specifically laid out their agenda. He talked about all the rights that he wanted to go after they got rid of reproductive rights, access to abortion. He also wants to go after gay marriage. He also wants to go after, well, they got rid of affirmative action, want to go after that. In essence, they want to go after every right that our people, American people, across the spectrum, have fought hard and died for centuries, with the exception of one. What right do you think he wants to maintain? Put it in the chat if you think which one he said that didn't make the list. Which one do you think didn't make the list? Any guesses? Any guesses about which one did not make the list? I'm not going to hold you because I have to leave soon to get my next hit. I'm doing some in person today. He doesn't want to touch, exactly, Lori, the loving decision, which guess what that's about? Interracial marriage. And thank you, Tracy, absolutely right. He does not want to touch the decisions around interracial marriage. I wonder why. Oh, because he happens to be in an interracial marriage. But every other right that we have fought hard for is on a hit list. Get ready for bumpy economic times ahead. Congratulations to people who were frustrated with inflation. Wait until you see the implications of 200% tariffs. I'll wait. You're going to be wishing for this freaking economy. You're going to be hoping for this economy. Wait until Kennedy gets in charge of health, of the health department. Wait until he tries to roll back all vaccines. Wait until he tries to take fluoride out of water. Wait until he tries to do all his crazy conspiracy theory things that's going to leave us back decades just in terms of quality of health in this nation. Wait until they attempt to dismantle, well, they probably, oh God, the implications. I started to say Department of Education because, yeah, that's definitely one, but that's not all. Here's what I want you to understand, my Black people. We are disproportionately, for many of us, if we think about our family tree, if we are not the first ones in our family to get to middle class status and above, which many of us are, but for those who are at an age where maybe your parents, say that you're a Generation Xer, say you're my age, and your parents were the first ones there. The first Black people to really en masse, be able to make it to the middle class post the Civil Rights Movement, they got there via being able to get government jobs, via civil service. Guess what's one of the things that he wants to do? Completely gut civil service, completely gut people who are career civil servants. How many of you work for the government right now? Good luck keeping that job. Also, I want people to understand that when you vote for a president, you don't just vote for a person, you vote for their policy priorities. You vote for their whole team of people that they will install in every aspect that the nation, that the government has control over. Do you remember the last time? Just think about these levels of mismanagement. Not only, hopefully we will not have another pandemic, because he certainly showed us that he don't know what the fuck to do when that happens. Okay. Hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully that's a once a century thing. But we will definitely have more natural disasters. We will definitely have more natural disasters. And we saw how he was last time. Have you forgotten how he would not deploy federal assistance to blue states? How he let just wildfires burn in California? How he was slow in bringing hurricane assistance to certain states that did not have a Republican governor? Have y'all forgotten this? Absolutely. Puerto Rico. This is what's in store. I don't think people really get how cataclysmic this is. I haven't even started talking about international implications. I have not even started talking about NATO and the wars that are going on right now. People who thought that this ish couldn't get worse, from someone like me who is compassionate about what's happening in Gaza. You think it ain't possible for the ish to get worse? Don't you realize that Trump and Netanyahu are like two peas in a freaking pod? I can't. They should be terrified in France, Lori. I would not be surprised. I mean, first of all, if it's not the end of NATO, which it very well might be, because we know he's going to align himself with Trump, with Putin, who was helping him out yesterday with all those bomb threats, specifically targeting Black counties in Georgia, Native American areas in Arizona, like Black areas in Pennsylvania. Did y'all notice all the bomb threats yesterday of polling stations? A nice assist by his buddy, Putin, who he was talking with and has been talking with and has been potentially sharing secrets with. Why wouldn't he? I just needed to vent a little bit this morning because we are entering a very dangerous time. This is a moment where, yes, he is, Marion. He has superseded the minimum number of electoral college votes that he needs. So yes, he is president-elect. Ukraine, exactly. Ukraine is done. It's done. It's done. Now that Putin is bringing in North Korean combatants, Trump's not going to provide them with any assistance. He's going to help Putin finish the job in the same way that he's going to help Netanyahu finish the job. I'm not making that up. Those are his words. So here's what I need to say real quick before I go, and I need to say this. we are going to have to start looking out for each other in a deeper way. We're going to have to figure out how we can work and support each other collectively, economically, because I haven't even started to talk about the implications on hate crimes. I wrote a piece about it. I'll drop it in the link. That's going to go up. People are going to feel like they can talk to you any type of way at work. Get ready for that. Y'all know DEI was on life support previously. It's probably the plug is going to be pulled now. So you need to think about what other ways can I utilize my expertise if you're in that space. I want to say, though, we need to figure out how we can collectively support ourselves. If you honestly, entrepreneurship becomes this much more important now, but also for those of you who have businesses where you are relying on imports, get ready for having to pay more to get whatever you're trying to sell. And for those who buy things that people have imported in, which is honestly in America, almost every damn thing, get ready to pay more for that. Oh my God, I'm trying to think about these just evil, evil people over all of us. This is going to be hard. This is going to sound grim, but here's my last thing I have to say about it. We have to focus on surviving. For the next 2 years at least, your job is to survive. And hopefully, come the midterms, there will be a backlash and a corrective effect after these idiots who voted for him begin to see the implications of his idiocy. Because I know there is an investment in whiteness in this nation. And I know that there is an investment in being adjacent to whiteness. But these implications that I'm talking about are going to impact everybody, including the people that voted for him. And so my hope, I don't know. I don't want that, Ren. Why would you? I don't want elections to cease to exist because then we'd be stuck with them. I don't want any kings. That's a good point, Lori. If we have elections in 2 years, he's already said he wants to be a dictator. He really wants to mimic the idea of being like a Putin. He wants to be able to be here 20 years later. He wants his family to be like the royal family. Just because they want it doesn't mean we need to give it to him. One last thing I will say. He only gets 4 years right now. But the Supreme Court has told him he can do whatever the hell he wants to do. Who's going to make him leave? He's only going to put sycophants around him this time. If he would have tried to stay in office last time, the military would have been ordered to get him the hell out of the house, out of the people's house. He's only going to put people in charge of the military now that are his. Oh my God. I just remembered Millie. Lord have mercy. This is not going to be good, y'all. So I'm just going to say, you're right, Bonnie. He did already say he should not have left the White House the last time. This man tells you everything he's thinking. And trust and believe he ain't joking. When he says what he says, he said what he said. Well, Biden has to hand over the power. What's Biden supposed to do? It's still a democracy for now. Biden can't just stay in office in the same way that he wanted to after, after he lost. Yeah. So anyway, the New York sentence in 3 weeks, that's a good question. It's going to be interesting to see how that is handled. I am wondering, I don't know. That's a good question, because that would happen before he's officially installed as president. If he's sentenced in 3 weeks and immediately remitted to jail, I wonder what would happen, because technically he's not going to be president until January 21st. But now there are going to be hard times ahead. I don't know, Stacey. I hope he will be. Black people, hear me when I say we have to focus on saving ourselves at this moment. All of us do, but I'm telling you, Black people especially. That's a good question. That's a good point, Monia. I thought they couldn't either, because they passed that. She said, I thought felons couldn't vote in Florida. They did pass that that ballot initiative, and then that gave them their rights back. And then once they came in, you know what? They can, because what happened, they passed that ballot initiative that gave them the right to vote back. And then the Florida legislature passed a law that basically said they had to pay a lot of money in order to pay back the state or something like that. So in essence, I believe where it stands now, if you can afford to pay that fine, you can vote. And obviously he could afford to pay a fine. He did say he had a secret at the New York City rally, and it concerns me when I think about what that might be. But as I said, we got to look out for each other. We got to work cooperatively together to survive for the next 2 years. And hopefully, if there is a midterm election, we can put some checks on him. But the bottom line is, what he's going to do between now and then with the courts alone is going to be complete and utter chaos. What he's going to do with his appointments and the things that they will look to do in terms of literally deconstructing the administrative state, what they've been wanting to do for years, is going to have horrible implications on all of us. We got to look out for each other. All right, I got to go, or else I want to miss my hit. But I'll be back and give you more info later. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye, guys. I'll have to go, but I'll be back later. You're welcome.